As you know, I'm all about efficiency and gaining time for myself, or in this case, it'll be gaining time for yourself. Do you realize that you're probably spending at least 40% of your time on reconciliations? And it's not just bank recs. It's like you take your receivables and compare them to the journal ledger, an inventory count versus your system quantities, payroll reports versus tax reports, and on, and everybody's favorite, intercompany balances. Here's the real problem. Every time you do a reconciliation, you have to recreate whatever method you use almost every single time. Nothing standardized, nothing lines up the same way twice, and every recon becomes a fresh rebuild. So you're wasting time just trying to set up the reconciliation. I'm going to show you my reconciliation spreadsheet that eliminates all of that. There'll be no lookups, no pivot tables, no macros. It's basic and very simple. Now, caveat, this is built through Power Query. And if I click on here, you'll see all the queries. Ignore that or shut this down. You don't need to know that. All you need to know is when you have two data sets, A and B, all you need is one common field between the two data sets, an invoice number, transaction ID, a customer number, a vendor number, anything they both share. Once you have that, this Power Query does the rest. It automatically categorizes everything into 4 buckets. 1, everything that matches up exactly. 2, anything that's in A but that is not in B. And anything that's in B that's not in A. In the 4th category would be anything that's in both but has a different dollar amount. So that's an amount variance. Here's the best part. Once you've identified your raw sets, your data raw sets, and you've identified the common field that you're going to bounce off of, it's literally just copy, paste, and refresh. Let me just demonstrate this so you can see exactly how it works. I put into this spreadsheet the datas. Now, understand, this is not going to come on a spreadsheet when you get it. They're going to send data to you from emails. They'll send you a spreadsheet and say, here's my data set. Why are we off? You come to your side on data set B and you're like, I have no idea why we're off. But if you look at it closely, you can identify that we both have a common field that we can at least identify that we can reconcile to. You'll also notice that in this data set, we're missing an incremental 10, 11. And in this data set, we're missing 12. So already we have a difference. But if you pay attention even closer, you look at this little number here on 1002, it ends in 40, but over here it ends in 50. It's off 10 cents. Could you imagine trying to find this 10-cent variable over 1,000 transactions? Crazy. So once you identify the common fields, we copy A's data set, the raw data set, the common field, and the dollar amount into tab A. I always paste values because I don't want formulas coming in there. Remember, you want control totals. So here we have 91,486, and I come over here, I got 91,486. Let's do the same for column B. Copy this and bring it over to tab B and populate this, paste values, 88,436. 88,436. Come to detail analysis. You go to data, refresh all. And within seconds, you now have your answer. You can see your grand totals here, your control totals. This is column A and here's column B. Those are the data sets. Here's the difference. Look at this. It identified the category. Let's look at the exact matches. Look at how your difference is 0. Dollar amounts are the same. Let's flip it. Let's get rid of the exact matches and see what the differences are. That matches what the difference was. And as you can see, there are 4 line items that need to be reconciled. This one here says it's an amount variance. Why? Because again, it's that 10 cents I was pointing out. This one's off by $50. This one is in B, but not in A. And this one is in A, but not in B. But immediately you've identified the transactions that need immediate attention. Tells you how fast, what matches, what doesn't, what's missing, and what really needs to be reconciled. Now, once you understand that, let's run this reconciliation sheet again against a very large data set. Take a look at these guys. I got 1,001 transactions here, and over here, I got a total of 1,009 transactions. Right off the bat, we already got an issue here. If I highlight the whole column C, I got 55,691,43.88. And if I do the same thing on the other big data set, I got 55,180,60.52. So clearly there's differences here. This is where it really shines. If you just copy, and I'm going to pull in this amount from A and put it in the tab A. And if you look, 55,180,6052, that matches the control totals. We're good there. Data set B, come over here, grab that, put it into tab B, paste, bam, look at your total, 55 with 88 ending. And over here, same thing. All you do now is go refresh all. Let's unfilter this, of course. In a matter of seconds, here are your control totals at the top, they tie, and then here's the difference. Technically, if you just go to the exact matches again, you'll see that you have 988 transactions that have matched exactly within seconds. Let's flip it. Let's get rid of the exact matches. Column A says I got 67,000 on these guys, and data set B says I got 119. If you look at it closely, you'll see that this is only in data set A, but not in B. But if you look at that number, you'll see that it's also right here. We have 2 different invoice numbers. We need to reconcile that. That's how fast that goes. 4105, that's our invoice number for this. This is what they have. And you can see the dollar amounts that have changed. These are unique numbers, by the way. There's no duplicates in here. So it tallies up this invoice number. If there's 5 of them in raw data set B, it'll tally it up to 15,000. And if there's 2 of them in data set A, it'll tally up to 10,000. But nevertheless, you'll see that there's a difference. After all that, you're going to say, okay, so what? I can kind of itemize them out and everything. But if you go back to your data sets, you'll notice that we got this category here, right? And we got them on both sides. If you go back to my best 3 practices in Excel, what are the 3 practices? Create a table, create subtotals at the top. But if you notice, that ties to this number, B, right? 55 and 55 ties, right? The last one would be freeze frames, but for sake of time, I'm just going to skip that for right now. Subtotal 9 and highlight that, boom. And that ties to this number. And I call it the Boomerang Method, which is simply taking these newly created categories that we have here and bringing them back to your original data set. So that way, every line item that is in your data set is labeled, categorized, and ready for action. Let's do that. We're going to do an XLOOKUP on this invoice. Come back to the detail analysis. We were at A. So we want the items that are in A. We want to bring back what it categorized it as. And look at this. Automatically tells you. Now let's go to data set B. Equals XLOOKUP. Come over here, comma. Now we're doing this column, and we're going to bring back in what the categorization is, and that one's done. If we go to exact matches, filter just exact matches on both data sets now using the Boomerang method, look at the total dollar amounts, 54,136.06, and the same thing. We've just reconciled 988 transactions in a matter of seconds. Done. What we really want to know is the exact opposite. These are the guys that we need to address in data set B, and these are the guys that we need to address in data set A. And if you notice, if I go back to detail analysis and get rid of the exact matches, these numbers tie to these numbers, 67 and 119. Here's what I'm trying to get at. If you're in the middle of this category and you filter on just supplies, and we get rid of all of this, this is all just supplies, and you do the same thing on the other column in supplies. There we go. Boom. Look at, you got 28603. Different number, and that is why you had to bring it back, because if you reconcile the data sets on this category instead of the invoice number, it would be a lot harder to find out where the differences are. This is more detailed compared to all of these. This reconciliation spreadsheet gives you something that you probably almost never get: a repeatable, standardized process that works on any 2 data sets. You identify the common field, drop each data set into tab A and tab B. Hit refresh, put data, hit refresh, go to detail analysis, and it tells you what's matches, what doesn't, what's missing, and truly what needs your attention. And once those categories are recreated, you use the Boomerang method to let you take them right back to the original data set for clear, labeled, actionable items. If you DM me on LinkedIn, I will email you a copy of the spreadsheet. And remember, control your data. Don't let your data control you.